So the main thing today is to discuss all the tracks that we will have for this week's hackathon, or basically it will be more like a datathon. And for that, we will have 4 tracks for different tasks that you are able to choose and work on. And we're expecting that you will have quite a journey by exploring, maybe to learn how to deal with some data that you're not currently working on. And from that, obviously, we once again have not really a large competition. So your chances to win the prizes as well as quite large ones. So without any further introduction, probably we could start and discuss what is on the agenda today. So basically, what we are trying to do and try to look today is to have general information about how the event will be organized, and later we will have the presentations, after which we might have the Q&A. So without any further introductions, short about information. So we will have the first track, which will be asked to provide some methodology and some creation of index for time series like data. The second task will ask to deal with the NLP and text data to identifying some significant information, the positive and negative sentiments. The third task will deal with the information flow and the speech or the audio data. And finally, we will have the fourth track, and I will expand about and we'll talk later. And the fourth track will ask to identify, so in which kind of the direction and which data variables is impacting one over the another, or basically which causal inference directions could be identified within the data. And from that, we basically have some general information as well. So for the most part, 3 of the 4 tracks will have the deadline on the on the 30th of the April, and one of the deadline will be on the 28th. This is because most of the tracks will ask just to calculate and improve the predictions, and one will be evaluated by the experts and experts' opinions. So when we basically share the information, most of the information will happen on the Slack, and later we will also send the additional information and confirmation on the emails. Just for competition's sake, at least minimum 2 different teams should submit the solutions for each of the track. And if you will have the for the track to be eligible for the prizes, and if you will have any of the questions, so do not worry and write within the emails. Great. So without any further introduction, so I would like to ask for Mindaugas to introduce one of the tracks and problems which are introduced by 𝒕𝒐𝒄𝒌𝒐, and Mindaugai, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, this rainy Sunday morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank you, Lithuania AI, for organizing this hackathon, and welcome. Okay, I'll try. Okay. Is it better? Okay, so, and I would like to welcome all the teams to take our challenge. And now I would like to introduce a little bit 𝒕𝒐𝒄𝒌𝒐, what we are doing in general, that you could better understand our problem and domain. So 𝒕𝒐𝒄𝒌𝒐 is used spare parts marketplace it means on one hand we have our suppliers, which putting our marketplace different used spare parts. On other hand, we have our customers who are looking to buy something. Yeah, and today we are trying to solve our supply-demand match question, and this challenge is based on this. It means that, for example, we have different car models. If you'll take, for example, Volkswagen Golf 3 Series, yes, it's quite old car. So for this one, maybe we need a different type of power groups, like alternator, generator, and so on and so on. And on other hand, if you take quite new one cars, like Tesla, yeah, whatever model you take. So there you could need only body parts because we are not broking much. Yeah. So our challenge is to predict our supply. What supply do we need? And we are asking to build a model algorithm which predicts should be predicting demand for each product group over time, and another index which we could compare this product group in different groups. Yeah. So and expected result in whatever format you'll take PDF doc, text document, whatever methodology of this index calculation, and the result providing this index with whatever data. Okay, so this is our challenge. Okay, so if there will be any further questions, we are always open to guide you and answer all the questions via Slack channel or.
Okay, so I guess we could make a Q&A after the presentations, and now we could actually try to go to the second and track, and the sentiment localization problem, which also will be hosted on the Kaggle platform. And from that, we will have the whole week for the analyze the data and propose some kind of the solution. And you will have the leaderboard. So basically all of your solutions, you could look at the partial of the private test set results and have the indication that are you improving or not. And this is quite a good experience, we think. So from that, I would like to ask for another presenter. So basically in our case, the 𝒕𝒐𝒄𝒌𝒐, to present what will be the main challenge in this track.
Right, perfect. So thank you very much for having us, guys. Big thanks to Linus for organizing the whole thing. This is our second year being here, and we hope you go ahead and really tackle this challenge. So I'm from a company called Denoising, and the product that I'm developing is called 𝒕𝒂𝒊. And what we basically do is we gather data on social media, what traders post about certain stocks and cryptocurrencies. And the main inspiration for this project really started almost a year ago with 𝑺𝒕𝒐𝒄𝒌𝒄 meme stocks and GameStop in that regard. At the moment, we focus on 2,000 stocks and about 200 cryptocurrencies, but in the future, we're planning on adding ETFs, commodities, and maybe even currencies. So at the moment, our capabilities of scraping and data collection is from Twitter, StockBiz, and Reddit. These are the main 3 platforms that we're focusing on. And daily, we collect about 300,000 messages from people that post their opinions online about stocks and cryptocurrencies. And we also have a bunch of NLP AI models running online 24/7 that help us identify sentiment and the most important words and topics what these traders talk about. So jumping straight to the hackathon task, this is underneath there are 2 samples of what our data actually looks like. And this is a little bit simpler data set. These messages are quite, how should I say, they're clean. The English is quite good. And your objective here is to say, okay, so I have the input as a long text, a sentence, and I need to highlight the most important part in that sentence and also give sentiment. So in this example, for example, with the first one, the most important text span is beating the consensus earnings estimate, and the sentiment is positive. And the data, all in all, consists of 10,000 samples. It contains only 2 different sentiment classes, so it's a binary classification, positive and negative. And every single sample contains a single span of important subtext. As a long-time hackathon winner and participant, I also have a couple of tips and tricks for you. So the first one, a couple of them would be, I would say you should start with a simple solution and improve on it. So don't go ahead, don't start training massive models, just start with a simple solution, something that works. Or even if it doesn't work, that's something that you can actually improve on. Also, I would really give a lot of attention to the training data. You could do a bunch of analysis. What is the span text start? How long is it? What's the distribution of different classes and so on. Also, sentiment analysis, even though this text, these messages are from financial field, you could also go ahead and have a look at the IMDb and Yelp reviews, because there are a lot of people that have been developing these models on not financial data, but in this case, these are food reviews and movie reviews. So, but the underlying model is going to be quite similar. Also, I really highly recommend using a tech stack, which consists of Google Colab, which will get you access to a free GPU. Then Python, Anaconda for managing your packages, and language Python. And also the most popular languages these days for NLP is NLTK, PyTorch, and scikit-learn. So I would really highly recommend using this tech stack, which is pretty easy to use and highly scalable. Also, a couple of tips for absolute beginners. If you've never tried Python or if you have little experience with NLP, I would say your approach should be quite simple, and you can start with, for example, 𝒕𝒊, which is basically a statistical model, which is quite simple to understand and implement. Naive-Bayes, 𝒕𝒐𝒌𝒐, and 𝒕𝒊 are other models which are a little bit more difficult than 𝒕𝒊, but are actually quite simple to also understand and work with. But also, if you have a lot more experience, you can go ahead and knock on transformer-based models, because right now they perform the best amongst all NLP models. And also, I would highly recommend you scraping or collecting or finding other data sets and experimenting with additional data, or even if you've managed to find a model which is already pre-trained on financial data, I think that would be quite impressive. Right, so good luck, guys. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll answer your questions, and thank you very much.
So thank you, Vytas. And now we could expand on that and actually give a short look at the how the competition will be organized on this second track. So for the second track, we will have the 𝒂𝒊 community competition. So basically, all of the information, the data, the description of the data is available, and you will be asked to finally produce just a simple predictions that for each of the test samples where some sentiment is starting and the ending. So basically, if you provide such kind of the predictions file, you could look at the leaderboard, you could look how you are in the comparison with the other folks, and this will give you a good indicator how you dealing with the current submission status. So this is quite exciting, and without any further introduction, I would like to invite shortly to present third track about the denoising signals. And this third track will have the slightly different data sets. So in such case, since there is a speech, there's a lot of signals. So eventually the denoised signal also will be the some audio files. So basically due to the large number of the information, we would like to have the separate submissions which will be sent at the next week. So without any further introduction, I would like to invite to present in more detail the 𝒂𝒊 for as an organizer. So basically, he will try to present so what kind of the challenges are within this task.
Hello, everyone. My name is 𝒂𝒊. Thank you for the opportunity to present our research problems in this hackathon, and greetings from almost sunny Lithuanian port Klaipėda. Today I present the task from the track number 3, task the denoising of speech signal. The noises in speech signal as an other type of signal is a huge problem in signal processing domain. As we record our voice, as we record other signals, our recordings always contains various levels of various noises, and these noises affect our signal processing very negatively. So the main problem, starting with the signal processing task, is the removal of noises. Sometimes it's enough to remove the noise. Sometimes we have to restore the original signal, and in some cases our main goal is to obtain the initial audio signal without any noises. It's a huge problem. We have a lot of different techniques, we have a lot of different approaches to remove the noise, but still we have no any objective technique to restore the audio signal fully. Today, your task is to apply artificial intelligence solution to the noise removal. I believe artificial intelligence have a huge potential in these tasks, because the noise removal from audio signals, from speech signals, it's very tough. It's very tough task. It's difficult to formulate its mathematical side. So artificial intelligence with fuzzy logic, with fuzzy calculation, with nonlinear calculation, it's a great way to try to remove the noise from our speech signal. Today, the task is to remove the noise from our speech signals, and the remove should restore the original speech signal fully. You were supplied with a data set. This data set contains two parts. The first part is noisy part. It contains more than 10,000 recordings of noisy speech. the speech is Lithuanian. Isolated words were recorded by various persons. We have about 40 various speakers. And the second part of the data set contains a clean speech recording. That means that this part could be used for your training organizing, for your training strategy, for your training paradigm. So the main task is to get the noisy speech and to implement the signal, the noise removing procedure in an end-to-end manner. What does it mean? That means that you don't perform any analysis, any parametrical analysis of the speech signals. You supply the raw speech signal, the raw signal data to the network, and the network returns the restored signal. This type of processing is called end-to-end. So in the input of the network, we supply the raw audio signal. As the output of this network, we get the raw audio signal. The evaluation criteria will be based on minimal squared error. That means that we try to estimate how correctly you restore the original speech audio signal. If you analyze the data set, you will see that the file names has a lot of similarities. That means that every clean speech recording in the data set has 3 versions of noise levels. Every noise level is defined by signal to noise ratio, which is encoded in the file name starting. You'll see the number and the letters dB, that means decibels. The higher the decibel value you see, the more clean speech recording you have. So maybe it will help to your organizing your training procedure. Besides, the file name contains the information about speaker. You can see the letters M, that means female speaker, or you can see V, Lithuanian V, that means male speaker. Maybe this will help to organize your training procedure. And the final goal is to obtain the clean speech recording, which should be the same as the original, the clean speech recording. And for this evaluation, will minimal squared error criteria used. So maybe that's all from my side. If you have any question about data set, about nomenclature, about file names, you can ask questions in the Slack channel. And thank you for attention and good luck in your task.
Okay, so really thank you, Gintautas, for the presentation and the discussion about the denoising of the speech signals task. And from that, we basically focusing that now all of the training data set is available for the 3rd track, and we plan to send the test signals on next Saturday for you to run your model, evaluate, and send us the predictions. And the evaluation and the announcements will be as for all tracks on next Sunday. And finally, we do have the 4th track, and the 4th track is somehow more interesting from this point of view that within the data science, we very often dealing with just creation of the model, and we can create a lot of interesting models on various data. And even if the data does not implicate the result, our model usually could work. And in such case, the causality or the implicit impact, why the data have the impact on the predictions that we want to investigate, is a crucial thing. So for that reason, one of our colleagues, the 𝒂𝒊 Denoising, it's really nice that he helped us created some causality dataset problem. And from that, the main question is to identify the right direction. So when you analyze the data, so from which part the implication happens? Do you have the causality relationship from the X to the Y, or from the Y to the X? And in the real life, we not necessarily know what the columns mean. So basically your task is to correctly identify, so which column is the dependent variable and which column is independent variable. So for that, we also would have the Kaggle-like competition. So basically within the community channel challenge, we do have the once again the leaderboard, the data, and our data is looking really typical one-dimensional data. And from that data, we obviously need to identify whether it is possible that some kind of the relationship is functional-like and is implicated in the right direction, and maybe in some other switch columns case, we have that actually the Y is implicated in the X values. And from that, we do have the all of the annotated data within the public data set, which contains finally the ground truth information CSV file. And from that, what is asked for you to create a model to do the predictions on the private data set. And you should once again creating the CSV file with the predictions of the format of the format that just simple classification problem, whether it is 0 or 1, depending on which direction data causality is happening. And from that, you submit, you see what's the results is on the leaderboard. And finally, after the week, we will have the full evaluation on the whole private test set. And from that, the final winner will be announced. So this is really, really interesting and unconventional task as well. So without any further delay, so basically I would mention that on Mondays and Tuesdays, we'll try to organize the short meetups with the mentors and the organizers of the track data providers. So if you would have some technical or questions, or basically would have some ideas that you would like to ask, you will have the ability to have a short meetings in the Monday and the Tuesday, and this will be this information will be available for you on the Slack, as well as sending with in emails. So basically, from us, from the organizers, the best of luck for all of you. We expect that you will have the quite good time. We'll enjoy the problems, and later after the week, we will have the awards ceremony. We will award those who basically will have provided the best solutions. And now we still have the time, and we could do the Q&A. Otherwise, we will have all of the questions which could be asked within the Slack channel, as well. All of the additional information, once again, will be sent you via email. So anyways, thank you for all of you who joined on the live to listen about the problems. And from that, once again, if you will have questions, right? And if not, we will communicate via Slack and the emails. So thank you, and have a nice, productive week. And let's hope for really impressive submissions for all 4 tracks.